cold wind whistled through the narrow gaps of the barn as Amelia sat quietly on a hay bale, her hands resting on her lap, her eyes lost in thought. She had always been the quiet one, the girl who blended into the background, who never raised her voice, who preferred the rhythm of the fields and the soft sounds of the animals over the noise of school hallways. But quietness often becomes a target. And in a small town where appearances seem to matter more than hearts, Amelia's silence was mistaken for weakness. The farm girl with her plain clothes, her muddy boots, and her gentle ways was seen as an easy prey for those who had grown used to throwing stones at anyone who didn't fight back. She didn't know when the day would come, but she feared it. Bullies have a way of circling around the ones who shine differently, and though Amelia's shine was hidden deep beneath layers of humility, it still irritated them. They despised how she never reacted, how she endured, how she refused to become like them. If you believe in kindness, in second chances, and in stories that remind us of the strength hidden within the quietest souls, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to Kindness Dailies. It helps us bring more powerful stories like this one to life, and your support truly makes a difference. It happened on a grey afternoon, the kind when the sky looks heavy with secrets. The bullies cornered her near the back of the schoolyard, where the old oak tree cast long shadows across the cracked pavement. They circled her, their laughter sharp, their voices taunting. To them, Amelia was nothing more than the farm girl whose hands smelled of earth, whose hair often carried the scent of the wind. They mocked her boots, her silence, the way she carried herself, as if the world could not touch her. But that day they wanted more. With cruelty burning in their eyes, they dragged her down and pulled out clippers they had stolen. And as Amelia's tears blurred her vision, the sound of the blades roared in her ears. Her long, soft brown hair, the hair her late mother used to braid on summer evenings, fell to the ground in heaps, mixing with the dirt beneath their feet. The humiliation was unbearable. She could feel their laughter vibrating in her chest, not from joy but from their twisted sense of power. By the time they were done, Amelia stood trembling, her scalp raw, her pride broken, and her heart crushed under the weight of cruelty. She ran as far as her legs could carry her, until the fields swallowed her whole, and only the rustling corn stalks listened to her sobs. For days she stayed inside, hiding from the world, avoiding mirrors, avoiding herself. Her grandmother, the only family she had left, tried to console her, whispering words of strength. But Amelia could not shake the image of her hair falling, of their laughter echoing. She wanted to disappear, to shrink so small that no one could ever find her again. The farm became her refuge, its silence wrapping her like a wounded bird. Yet in that silence, something began to stir, a slow, burning ember of resolve. Life on the farm had always been Amelia's anchor. She knew every corner of the land, every stone in the soil, every secret path that her ancestors had walked. What the bullies did not know, what no one at school knew, was that the vast fields their families depended on to feed their cattle, to grow their crops, to build their livelihoods, all of it belonged to her family. The land they mocked her for living on was the very land that gave their homes bread and their children life. And one day, when her grandmother's will passed into her hands, all of it would belong to her. The weeks passed and whispers began to spread. The bullies didn't stop their laughter, but they began to notice Amelia's silence shift. She no longer flinched when they sneered. Her eyes no longer lowered. She carried herself with a quiet dignity, one that unnerved them. Behind the scenes, her grandmother had started meeting with town officials, lawyers, and tenants. Paperwork was being signed, leases renewed, boundaries drawn. Amelia was about to inherit not just the farm, but the authority that came with it. When the day of reckoning arrived, it was not through revenge or harsh words. It came in the form of a town gathering where families met to discuss the harvest season. Amelia stood beside her grandmother, her head no longer hidden beneath scarves. Her hair had begun to grow back, short but strong, a symbol of resilience. As the farmers gathered, Amelia's grandmother announced the transfer of ownership. Amelia was now the sole heir of the land. The bullies' families were in the crowd that day, their faces pale as realization hit them. They had shaved the hair of the girl whose kindness and silence had held back storms they couldn't even see. They had mocked the very person who now held the soil beneath their feet in her hands. And in that moment, Amelia had a choice. She could use her power to humiliate them in return, to strip them of dignity as they had done to her. But she didn't. Instead, she spoke with a calm voice that carried more weight than any anger ever could. She reminded them that cruelty feeds on weakness, but kindness feeds on strength. She told them she would not punish their families because their children's mistakes should not decide their parents' fates. Her words spread through the town like wildfire, not because they were loud, but because they were true. People began to see her not as the quiet farm girl, but as a young woman of courage, dignity, and grace. Her story became a lesson whispered from one family to another, a reminder that every action carries weight, and every soul, no matter how quiet, holds untold power. Years later, when her hair had grown long again, Amelia walked through the same fields with her head held high. The bullies had grown too, some carrying shame, some seeking forgiveness. She forgave not for their sake, but for her own peace. The land remained hers, fertile and strong, just as she had become. And though she never sought revenge, her very existence, her quiet strength, was the sweetest justice of all. If this story touched your heart, if you felt the weight of Amelia's pain and the triumph of her resilience, please take a moment to like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, and subscribe for more stories that remind us of the hidden strength within ordinary lives. Your support means more than words can express. Before you go, we have one special request. Share your thoughts in the comments below. Do you believe kindness is stronger than cruelty? We would love to hear your voice.